Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello, Muskegon. Hello, Rotarians, and hello, everybody else who may be listening to this podcast. It's an honor, privilege, and pleasure to be again sitting across the table from a star for Muskegon County and one leading positive change here in our area. It's my pleasure to have as a guest today, Mark Eisenbarth, Muskegon County Administrator. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, DJ. Good to be here.
Well, thank you for enduring this. As I told you on the phone, it won't be a cross-examination, I promise you. Although sometimes, I get into that lawyer mode and the questions will just start flowing. So I'm going to apologize up front if I start firing questions your way. I'll try to take it slow.
All right, ready for it.
All right. Well, let's talk about, you've been with Muskegon. I guess tell our listeners how long you've been with Muskegon County as an employee, and then maybe a little bit of your timeline as
sure,
you've been doing with the county.
I started here in 2004, and the family and I moved up here from Kansas, and been here since then. I started at the wastewater treatment plant as a deputy director there. Became the director there in 2011. And in 2014, I was privileged to have the commissioners hire me as administrator for Muskegon County. So going on 10 years now.
Yeah, it seems like time's flying. I don't know if you remember this. I do, for whatever reason. But the first time I actually met you was when you were the director of wastewater. We actually ended up being on a committee together. I think we were interviewing architects for the jail project, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's I remember meeting you for the first time because at that time I wouldn't have had any need to talk to wastewater for any reason really. And that was I remember that very distinctly. In fact, I think we were in my office when we interviewed some of these folks, but. What was it that in your mind you decided, I really think that I need to be the county administrator. Going from, director, obviously you're leading a division, and county administrator, you're leading basically county government. So what was it that sparked your want, if you will, to take on that large responsibility? Well,
what I found out was interesting is that the wastewater, there's 16 municipalities that run that. So I began to know the municipalities over the 10 years roughly, and working with that leadership, whether they're city managers, public works directors, township supervisors, and got to see what their needs were. In the majority of the time, we were talking about other needs in the county just besides water or sewer services. And working with them, working with the board and the board of commissioners, they are the same board of commissioners, as you well know, for the full board versus the public works board. So be able to work with them, I got to know them and what drives them. Also, the third point was I got to work with other directors throughout the county to see their needs and what their challenges are. And I thought I could help that out. I had the relationship with the cities and villages, the commissioners, the other directors I knew. So I felt like it's an opportunity to step in and offer my services that I can and help lead the county into into 2021.
Yeah. So, if obviously, I'm going to remind myself at this point that I want to ask you, but, before I get to that question, people, I think take for granted, at least those of us that work within the county, of what the county administrator does, what their responsibilities are, and what their function is. But I don't know that a lot of people recognize or know, for that matter, what your responsibilities are. So could you take just a couple minutes here and just describe what, under your sort of control and command, what are the county administrator's duties and responsibilities?
It might take more than a couple minutes.
Take your time. We got all the time.
No, it's really interesting. One is collaboration amongst other directors, because a lot of directors depend on one another, and seeing that relationship. Then you also have the funding from the state, for example, and they support the local communities. So by the big picture, working with the directors and the funding that's only available, then you have the residents and the municipalities that all come in together. So a day could change from whether you're working on water one time, you're working on the courts on another need, public defender's office is underneath one of the departments underneath my responsibility. You have public works, then you got all the elected department heads as well. They all have to work intertwined with one another. And that's the job, really, is to figure out how to have us all go in the same direction, move in the same direction, because we all need funding, and don't want to focus on the funding because there's a lot of good deeds that a lot of departments do throughout the county, but it all revolves around funding. And so we really have to do a balance act along that and make sure everybody meets the needs of the commissioners. The commissioners have their own goals and objectives that they want to see throughout the county, and we got to work with them as well. So it's a variety of challenges every day, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you almost have to, because as you were giving your answer, I was thinking about this, how important relationship building is. Because I think, obviously, as you indicate, all the directors of the various departments kind of fall under your umbrella. So there's relationship building there. Then you've got a separate, I would say, relationship with the county board, your bosses. Right?
Yes.
And so there's a separate relationship there. But then, as a whole, you become the face of Muskegon County when it comes time to build relationships with those cities and townships that make up Muskegon County. So in your tenure here as an administrator, what have been some of the more important relationships that you have built over that time?
Sure. And besides the municipalities, I mean, it's very critical with that in townships, villages, cities. Rotary actually has helped me quite a bit with different leaders in the community. So being able to work with different leaders open that door, and then economic development kicks in, and that's where we start seeing those personal relationships. Trust goes along with that. So be able to work with the city in a developer for the convention center is one. The other one is a pipeline that we talk about a little bit later. Again, it's private-public relationships that I really focus on, and it seems to have, in the past, has worked really well to get that private involved in our projects, and they help us serve the community in a better way that they succeeded, so do we.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite amazing, what I've actually personally, what I've learned, the role that, certainly you as administrator, but the Muskegon County government plays in some of the bigger projects that are are happening, is ultimately it could very well be happening on land that is owned by the county, or things that the county manages, and maintaining all those relationships. I mean, that's quite a juggling act. That's pretty impressive, actually, as I sit here and think about it. I mean, there are a lot of people that you have to keep happy.
Right.
And myself included, because we won't go into all the times that I bug you, but I do bug you. And so, yeah, I mean, it takes I would say it takes a special person. And I'll just say this, I appreciate your calm demeanor in handling a lot of these different situations, because, it's not all sunshine and roses.
No, it sure isn't, no.
Talk to me about what as I was kind of mentally preparing for this interview. Talk to me about the COVID time period. I mean, it was certainly something that none of us anticipated. But obviously there are certain functions that had to keep moving with all the other things that are going on from the state, the feds. How was it sort of trying to manage through that?
It was interesting you asked that, because I can remember like it was yesterday where the directors got together and talked about shutting down the Hall of Justice. And we talk about that. A snowstorm, you may have 1 or 2 days, but we start talking about weeks. And where most people would be working at home, there are a few people that had to come in to work. And so dealing with that, who's reporting to work, in the seriousness of COVID at the time, we didn't know. You started getting reports from other states that people are dying from this and taking it very seriously. And we had to depend on our public health director as well. Kathy Moore did an excellent job through that. But we also worked with other counties in the state and what are they doing and what are they seeing. And it was definitely learning on this one because we never seen something that affected so many businesses. As you well know, businesses shut down. Some didn't recover from it. And we really had to make sure our decisions were the best interest of the community. The schools were tough. And so you had both sides of it as well as whether or not schools should be work remote. My wife teaches, and she had to schedule it. I had to see what that looked like as far as working at home and the challenges teachers have, let alone our own employees, and setting up desks at home. So there's a lot that went into it. And the hospitals, we remember talking about the hospitals being overloaded, not enough respirators, not enough beds. I mean, it was definitely a challenge through that. But with the team that we have here at the county, I think we did a very good job working through that process. But it was definitely one thing we'll never forget.
Yeah, I mean, I have to take my hat off to you in the level of communication amongst the various departments that were, equally yet unequally affected because, again, certain departments do certain things. And I have to say that, during that time frame, our weekly meetings with Kathy Moore that we would have our Zoom meetings so we could get updates as to our numbers and where we were as far as quarantine, all the different things. That level of communication was huge because as a person who leads an office, we were never on an island. I could take that information and then pass it on to my people so that they knew exactly where the county was and what we were doing. And maybe it was true like that across the state. I don't know, but certainly I think Muskegon County again rose to the top and was a shining star based on all the things that we were doing, as you've mentioned a couple of times, collaboratively.
And we had to take that data in those meetings that we met. Kathy brought data from the state and federal. And when we thought, okay, we're over the hump, it would increased again, right? It wasn't a few weeks later, it started going up again. So it was challenging, and we still had to serve the people. As you well know, the courts, the juvenile detention center, those employees had to return, wastewater, water, solid waste, the jail, they all had to be in there, and it was difficult. Even I remember talking to the sheriff about bringing people into the jail. They had to be tested. They had to be isolated. It's just every department had a challenge to overcome, and like you said, I think we did well. Well,
yeah, and I just can't imagine what it was like on those weeks and those months, trying to make those critical decisions. And I think people need to understand and respect the fact that nothing was taken lightly.
Right.
Everything was well thought out, and it wasn't just willy-nilly making decisions. I mean, these were critical things, and you make the best call that you make.
Yeah, and the data changed that we based our decisions off of changed daily. I mean, it was Kathy Moore again. Hats off to her; she did an excellent job.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the highlights, or I'll say major projects that you've been a part of. Let's talk a little bit about that. What have you, over again this 10-year period? What do you see as some of your major accomplishments or accomplishments that you were a part of? Good.
First, I think is the finances. I think we really turned around the finances, and that took a work of all the department heads in figuring out how to balance the budget and not have to raise taxes to do it. Aside from that, that's number one priority. But besides that, the one that we're working on now affects you directly is the Hall of Justice. If you haven't been, those who are listening to this have not been drove by it, should take a look at it, because not only does it look nicer, but the efficiency of that glass has took away everybody's little space heater around their feet. Those windows are terrible, and the ones are there, and it had a lot of leaks. And so the efficiency of the heating and cooling is going to be much better. The west side's done. We still have to do the east side. And then we had to prepare for another judge. And so then we started looking at where we're going to put the boardroom. And the Hall of Justice is full, right, of staff. And we had to figure out, we have to find another location. And so we did a feasibility study on what we call South Campus, which is Old Baker. And that was over $30 to $50 million worth of work. And we didn't have that type of monies. So we started working again outside the county realm and worked with worked with Baker College and started working with them and found a location that we can move to, which frees up space in the Hall of Justice and it allows room for another judge. So we started redoing the 6th floor, currently in the process of that. 4th floor is all but done. And the idea is to spread us out as far as getting away from the Hall of Justice, but also bringing us together. So South Campus has 6 different departments there that can all be under one roof. So now we're going to be in 2 locations. We already started holding our board meetings at which is Baker College. We call Marquette Campus. It's right off of Marquette. And we hope to get in the next year the deeds office out there, the treasurer's office out there, clerk as far as vital records go out there. We're looking at having a public health, which is there, or IT, HR, some of Health West. So we have a lot of departments under one roof. So when you come out there, once you come in, you should be able to reach everybody services you may need from us in the county.
So how, the Marquette campus or Baker College, I guess, right. The old Baker College, whatever we're going to call it.
Everybody remembers Baker College.
Baker College. How did that come about? If you're able to kind of talk about that, because quite frankly, it was a win for Muskegon County as far as Muskegon County government is concerned. It had obviously it's got the size right. to, as you said, kind of pull everybody under one roof. How did that come about? I mean, what if you are able to reveal any inside baseball?
Because I was very interested in the Hackley building, but we looked at that. Our commissioners even took a tour of the Hackley building, and it was just cost prohibitive for us at the time to look into that. And so I asked our deputy administrator to find a location that could house everybody, but yet doesn't take millions of dollars to repair. And he taught for Baker College, Matt Farah, and he was talking to Aaron Mackey, who's the president of the Baker. And they started talking about what we needed, and Baker started sharing with us that they'd like to move downtown. And so we thought, well, if we could buy Baker, they could move downtown. And the third leg of the chair, you'd say, is South Campus. Then we can develop housing there or some other type of needs that the community could have. So we started unpeeling that, what it looked like. Of course, we did the feasibility of our old campus, again, 30 to 50 million. Then at Baker, we're looking at roughly 8.6 million to buy that. So even buying that and investing in it, what we're doing now, it was half the cost is what we expected to do at Old Baker. So currently, I'm at Baker. There's 4 departments there. We also have Baker students there, and we're still working with them as they develop their new location or what their next steps are. In what we call Old Baker, South Campus, we still have people there, but eventually we'll sell that. One that's out there that we're talking about selling it to is Kids Food Basket. They want to expand and have a garden, and it's a perfect location for them. So we're working with the state to finalize that again. And again, I can't say that enough, I guess. It's that public-private relationship that's making it work. So that's coming to the close, hopefully, as far as signing on the dotted line that we sold it.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly as the downtown is seeing this development movement, I'll call it. I think folks need to recognize that the county itself has been able to very efficiently and cost effectively do the same thing and be able to expand services under one roof in a very nice location. I mean, that building isn't that old, and the space there is great. I mean, it's fantastic. And so, yeah, I mean, I really think that's been a major accomplishment for the county to be able to provide, again, good customer service to the folks that we serve.
Right. And that one there, fixing up the Hall of Justice, again, that building will be good for another 20, 25 years. But there's another project I would like to share with you.
Yeah, please.
That
was my next question. What's on the horizon here?
So the other one that we wrapped up too is we call it Dune Harbor Park. Now that's going to be there for the community for 100 years to come, right? It stays public property, and it's a new park for the community. And we've had a lot of great compliments on that one there. So that's something that the community can really engage in. One thing that we do there, we do charge for parking, but that money, 100% of that money stays to that park. It's going to make that park better and invest in that park. So we do have a revenue source to maintain that park, and that's the purpose of that. The other one that's going to be a forever impact, I'd say, is working, again, with the state, the city of Coopersville, and two large manufacturers in the city of Coopersville to do a wastewater treatment for them. So we're putting in a $65 million pipeline from the city of Coopersville to the county wastewater. And again, that's going to serve the east side of the county and our neighbor, Ottawa County, for years to come, where they can expand now, where their plant's not maxed anymore. So it opens up a lot more opportunity, not only for the county, but counties. That's another great project working on.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you talk about, having things that the county has been involved in that are lifelong, essentially,
right. That'll
be here forever. And, just taking the Nugent Sand stuff, that was, at least initially, was a sand, I guess, production place. They wanted to develop it. That didn't work. And ultimately the county was there to say, hey, we got a great idea for it. Right. Let's make this into a park. Two very large parks, actually, that people can come and they can hike. And I think is it the north end that is going to get developed a little bit more? Yeah,
the idea possibly camping, but we have a committee that's working on that, getting input from the community. We want that input. We want to know what they want in their backyard, per se. And that's process will take this summer as well and see where we go from there. But yeah, I mean, it's real close, right next to Lake Michigan, so it's a perfect location to have camping if that's what they desire.
It's awesome. I mean, it's for me, having been more of starting my career as more of a soldier type worker, not really understanding what's going on around me, to then in the position I'm in now and having a better understanding of how important a good functioning county government needs to be in order to sustain and build what is already being built here in Muskegon County. It goes without saying that the residents should be very pleased with how things are being handled in the direction that we're going.
Yeah, it's very true. And working with Norton Shores or Fruitport or Ravenna, Whitehall, Montague, the housing developments, the city of Muskegon, Eagles, I can name all of them. They all have some growth going on right now. And we try to help that as much as we can.
Yeah, and again, I mean, obviously, if we want a county that is going to be growing and become a place where people not only want to come and live, want to come and work, or want to come and play and be on vacation, we have to do these types of things and appreciate the return on investment, I guess, is probably the best way to describe it.
And going back to COVID, we learned that. A lot of people went to the parks. Our parks were, campgrounds were full, not only us, but state and other locations as well. So yeah, we really want to provide a service that they want to come here on vacation. And then the next step is they want to move here or move back from here. So that's what we're trying to build, is a community that we can enjoy, obviously, living here and raising our kids here.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you for your leadership. Personally, I just appreciate that I can call you, I can email you, I can text you, and I get a response. And and we can engage in the dialogue for whatever it is, whether it's needs for my office, needs for whatever. I mean, I just appreciate how you not only handle the I guess the complicated questions I sometimes come at you with, but also just being in part of the directors' meetings and watching everybody around the table really have good communication, good conversation, and get along. And that's really under your leadership. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it, and don't take it for granted. I do enjoy it.
Good. Well, that's good, because I got more questions for you when we're off there. I'm just kidding. That'll do it. Mark, thank you for being here and being a part of this podcast. Thanks for giving the listeners a little insight as to how Muskegon County government runs, and look forward to brighter things in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That'll do it for this episode. Thank you again, Muskegon Rotary, for this opportunity. And as always, thank you to the wonderful mind and creativity of Mike Vogus. This doesn't happen without him. Until the next time, have a good one.